Good evening. We'll call the Regional Planning Commission meeting to order. Peters, not to pick on you, but would you? Roll call. See, I'm jumping ahead trying to get to this agenda.
Sarah Tulichek.
I'll be here.
Shelley Reed, absent at the moment. Francine Donship, also absent. Peter Gower.
Here.
Mark Johnson.
Here.
Marilyn Kramer.
Here.
Evan Pritzos.
Here.
Kate Nelson.
Here.
Alex Felto, also absent. All right, we have.
And Shelley is 5 minutes away. She got stuck in an accident. So Commissioner Gower, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
My pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next agenda item is approval of the agenda.
Commissioner Gower, move to approve.
Commissioner Johnson, second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Item 4, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We have not received any at this time.
Okay, thank you. Item 5, approval of the minutes for May 25th, 2023.
Commissioner Kramer will motion to approve the minutes of May 25th, 2023.
Thank you, Commissioner Kramer. Is there a second?
Commissioner Gower, second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Item 6, business of the day. Director Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. Item 6A is a regional plan amendment conformance review and PRS. We have Shawnee Sousa to take us through this item.
Hi everyone, Shawnee Sousa, Team RPA for the record. The first case I'm going to take you through is a PRS, or a Project of Regional Significance, or a Regional Plan Amendment, also known as an RPA. This is for Prana Solar. So as I said, this is a PRS and an RPA. I'll get into that a little bit more in the following slides. On the right, you can see the regional form map, and the subject site is highlighted in orange for you. It's about 45 miles north of Reno in the vicinity of Honey Lake. For our determination, we do recommend that the Prana Solar case conforms with the regional plan, both on the PRS and the RPA level. So now here on the right, you can see the neighborhood map, a little closer look for you. The rural area is indicated by that light blue hatching. So this request is for a 65 megawatt generation facility with a 125 megawatt battery energy storage system. It also includes a 345 kilovolt substation and a 5-mile generation line connecting that proposed substation to the Fort Sage substation. So now getting into more about why this is a PRS and an RPA. For Policy RC6, Projects of Regional Significance, it states that a new electric substation, a 60 kilovolt or more transmission line, and a facility that generates greater than 5 megawatts requires a conformance review by the RPC as a project of regional significance. This is prior to the establishment and the construction. Then for that RPA component, PF11 specifies that all regional utility corridors and sites be shown on map 3 of our regional plan. And that an RPA is required for the establishment of a new regional utility corridor and site. So next is the review criteria, which I think most of you are familiar with. Policy RC9 of the 2019 Regional Plan identifies the 5 factors that the RPC must consider when evaluating conformance. I'm going to briefly take you through each of these now. For population growth, while the policies don't directly apply to this proposal, the establishment of the facility will provide a source of renewable energy to the service area's population. For regional form, it is consistent with what we expect in the rural area and compatible with the land uses around it. For public facilities and services, the proposal will be self-contained and services will not be extended from the TMSA. And the request is consistent with the policies within this component of the plan. Then in regards to natural resources, county staff did coordinate with various entities and received comments on the proposal. Through their process, multiple conditions were included with a special use permit to adequately address identified concerns related to sage grouse and cultural resources. We found this project to be in conformance with the natural resource policy section. We also found that it supports other natural resource policies, and I'll throw those out in just a little bit. Then finally, for regional coordination, This is that overarching policy you're considering now, which is RC9. And so as you go through this, that's part of our coordination. We started with that initial review memo, and we coordinated throughout the process to make sure that we had a good understanding of this proposal. Next is the RPA portion of this review. So policy RC10 of the regional plan identifies the 7 criteria that the RPC and RPGB must consider when evaluating conformance. Let's see. We identified, this is where I'm going to let you know about the natural resource policies that this was supported. We identified that the proposal will provide a renewable energy source for customers in the region, and to add that the previous overview I gave you, the proposal also supports policies PF18, regional renewable energy generation, NR2, which is resilient region, and NR14, sustainable development. The criteria overlap with the previous criteria I highlighted for you, and we found this to be in conformance with our plan. Both of the suggested motions are on the screen overhead. First, we need the PRS and then the RPA. I am available for questions or staff.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Are there any disclosures by commissioners? Do we have any public comment on this? Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions of staff? Or prepared to make a motion?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Johnson, make a motion starting with the project of regional significance. I move to find that the Piranha Solar project of regional significance is in conformance with the 2019 regional plan based on the findings listed in the staff report.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Kramer will second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Johnson, I move to adopt the RPC Resolution 23-05 regarding an amendment to Map 3 of the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan based on the findings listed in the staff report.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kramer will also second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Director Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. Next, we have item 6B. It is a regional plan conformance review for another project of regional significance. This time, it's the Ormat solar expansion.
All right, so Shawnee Sousa, Team RPA for the record. I will be taking you through the PRS for the Ormat solar expansion. So this is a project of regional significance. The existing is a 4.9 megawatt solar facility, and it is going to expand to 8.5 megawatts. A facility that generates electricity greater than that 5 megawatts is what makes this a PRS. This is located right off of Wedge Parkway, and it's comprised of 2 parcels. On the right, you can see that in the regional form map with the site highlighted in orange. For our determination, we did determine that this proposal conforms with the regional plan. So here's the overview continued for you. The project area addition, the existing is 23 acres, and they are going to be expanding 22 acres, totaling in 45. This is going to be in solar modules, and I'll show that on the next slide for you. The intent behind this is that the energy from this will be powering the existing geothermal plant, not the NV Energy grid. On the right, you can see the neighborhood map, and this shows that it is within Tier 1. So here's that existing and proposed slide that I was telling you. On the top is existing, on the bottom is proposed. The solar modules are shown in gray. Policy RC9 of the regional plan identifies the 5 factors that the RPC must consider when evaluating conformance. I'm going to briefly take you through each of these again. For population growth, once again, this section does not directly apply to this kind of proposal, but overall the request is found to be in conformance with this section. For regional form, it is within Tier 1, as I said, and it is compatible with the surrounding land uses. For public facilities and services, the proposal will not be requiring any public facilities and services. The aerial map is shown on your right with the subject site highlighted in orange. For natural resources, the site has some development constraint areas, however, they are not in the project area's expansion. Additionally, we found that it supports policies PF18, renewable energy generation, NR2, resilient region, and NR14, sustainable development. These encourage the use and development of alternative and renewable energy sources while having minimal impact on natural resources in the area. Finally, for regional coordination, this is the policy you're considering now. And once again, we worked with staff throughout the process, starting from that and all the way through to make sure that we understood this. Overhead is the proposed motion. I'm available, as well as staff, for any questions.
Thank you. This is a public hearing item. Any disclosure of commissioners? Any questions of staff? Anyone want to make a motion? Or do we have any public comment? Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay. I move to find that the Ormat Solar Expansion Project of regional significance is in conformance with the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan based on the findings listed in the staff report.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Johnson, I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Director Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. Moving on to item 6C, which is a regional plan conformance review for a master plan amendment at Washoe County. And we have Nate Kusha for this item.
Good evening, Commissioners. Nate Kusha for the record. As Director Smith mentioned, this is a master plan amendment to the Washoe County Master Plan. It's 6,755 Franktown. So an overview of this is a master plan land use reconfiguration of 2.9 acres of rural residential land use and a rural land use. The subject site is located about 5.5 miles west of the intersection of Old US 395 and Franktown Road down in Washoe Valley. And regional planning staff does recommend that this master plan amendment conforms with the regional plan. So this request seeks to realign where currently existing rural and rural residential land use designations are located on one 53.8 acre parcel. The subject site contains one single-family dwelling unit on the northern portion and accessory structures throughout. The intent of the land use realignment is for the allowance of a parcel split at a future time, which would place the existing dwelling unit on its own parcel and create a 41.2 acre parcel on the southern portion of the site. So on the slide over here, you can see the kind of reconfiguration of the land uses, kind of takes some from the southern portion there, if I can, down here, and moves it, throughout, mostly up to this northern portion where that existing house is. So again, policy RC9 is your review criteria for this conformance review. We'll briefly touch on these. So this proposal includes no change in projected housing capacity, unit density, and no increase to facility and service needs, as it is simply a land use reconfiguration. The reconfiguration of land use does better align with the development constrained areas on the subject site. And Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District did provide comment and indicated no concerns regarding the wildland-urban interface. And for regional coordination, we of course did our and coordinated throughout. So overhead is a motion. Myself and Washoe County staff are available for any questions.
Thank you. This is a public hearing item. Any disclosure by commissioners? Any public comment? Okay. Any questions of staff? Anyone wanting to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm prepared
Thank
to make a motion. I move to find the 6755 Franktown Master Plan Amendment to the Washoe County Master Plan in conformance with the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan based on the findings listed in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Madam
Thank
Chair.
you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Director Smith.
Madam Chair, we have item 6D next. It's a public hearing item, a regional plan conformance review from the City of Reno Master Plan Amendment this time, talking about the Reno-Stead Corridor Joint Plan. We have Nate Kusha again.
Good evening again, Commissioners. Nate Kusha for the record. As Director Smith mentioned, this is a master plan amendment to the Washoe County Master Plan, or to the City of Reno Master Plan, for the Reno-Stead Corridor Joint Plan. So quick overview on this. As part of the 2019 regional plan update, it was agreed that the Reno-Stead Corridor Joint Plan was no longer necessary and that it would be sunsetted. Therefore, policy RC3 of the new regional plan outlines the requirements for joint planning areas. However, it does not identify that there are currently any existing. This amendment is a housekeeping item and brings this facet of the City of Reno master plan into conformance with the 2019 regional plan by removing the Reno-Stead Corridor Joint Plan land use designations. So the amendment requests to change the land uses on 1,158 parcels to match the City of Reno master plan land use categories to correspond to the currently existing zoning categories on these parcels. Regional planning staff does recommend that this master plan amendment does conform with the 2019 regional plan. Again, policy RC9 is your review criteria. So as mentioned, this amendment is considered a housekeeping item, and given that the proposed land uses are translating to the most comparable uses, we have deemed that this does conform with all of the policy sections of the regional plan. So with that, I have a motion overhead, available for any questions, as well as City of Reno staff.
Thank you. Is this a public hearing item? Any disclosures by commissioners? Any public comment? Any questions of staff? There's our motion.
Madam Chair, I'll go
Commissioner
ahead
Reed.
and do 2 for 2. I'll make the motion. I move to find the Reno-Stead Corridor Joint Plan Master Plan Amendment to the City of Reno Master Plan in conformance with the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan based on the findings listed in the staff report.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Just record time here. I mean,
Madam Chair, thank you. Jeremy Smith for the record. Now we're excited to get to our second in the series of natural resource policy workshop items. This is going to be similar to what we did last month, where we broke into groups and looked at some boards and ranked some policy concepts. We're only going to have 2 groups this time, so when we get through with the presentation, we can assign, I'll just assign it now. How about Mark, Marilyn, and Peter? You guys can be a group on this side of the room, and the rest, the 4 of you will be the group on this side of the room. Okay, and so before we get to that part, though, we're going to have a short presentation from Jay Howard, who is the Regional Trails Coordinator leading up the TM Trails effort, and looks like he's getting set up right now.
Brochures.
get from behind there to me.
Okay. Good evening to the commissioners. Thanks so much for having me and allowing some time for this important topic. My name's Jay Howard, for the record, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the Truckee Meadows Trails program. Some of you may have heard of it, others maybe not. It's been going on for several years now, but it's something that we're just really kind of gaining steam on, right now. So happy to share this information. Just a little bit about myself. I came on with the program almost a year ago. It was last mid-July when I was finishing up my time with Nevada State Parks. I was a park ranger and a park supervisor for 30 years. And I came across this opportunity to be the program coordinator. So that's what kind of pulled me out of that chair. I was in the planning department after being a ranger in the field for a number of years. And now we've got this program that we're pushing forward. So I wanted to put in this slide. I know a lot of us, we see this type of information all over in the news and things like that, but I like to remind people of why trails are important, and the public feedback, the surveys and the workshops that we've had with the public have supported this idea that trails are super important to the residents of the Truckee Meadows. There's a lot of statistics behind trails and mental health, trails and physical health. and the benefits to a recreation economy that we've seen in other places. So I might just talk about one statistic that I think is interesting as to why physical trails and physical health can be so important. The American Trails group on their website, they've published this information that for every $1 spent, that equals a $3 savings in healthcare costs in the country. And there's lots of other studies to support that type of information, that there's definitely benefits to physical health when we spend more time out on trails. With mental health, that same website talks about this, that 20 minutes spent out on a trail can result in reduced stress, cardiovascular, just a sense of well-being, and so forth. And of course, the Land and Water Conservation Fund has determined that a recreation economy in this country typically results in 6.5 million jobs created. With all the money that is spent on recreation and equipment, that is a job creator. So there's a lot of economic value there. So what we have put together here is the Truckee Meadows Trails Program. The initiative started back in 2017 when a small group of land managers and interested parties, people from the federal agencies, as well as the local city and county agencies here in the region, came together and wondered out loud with each other, how can we coordinate one voice out of many, essentially, when it comes to trails and creating connectivity and improving our trail system here in the Truckee Meadows. So that was sort of the beginning of this idea of the Truckee Meadows Trails Program. Things kind of moved ahead from there. One result of that early effort is on the right there, the Truckee Meadows Trail Plan and Report from 2021. That's the document. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a slide coming up, but it's our foundational document that kind of defines the program, its goals and objectives, why it's necessary, and it sort of brings what we have today together with that program. The mission for the Truckee Meadows Trails Program is to work with community and agency partners to create a regional, sustainable system trail network that enhances the quality of life for the Truckee Meadows residents. Now, when I say system trails, that's a trail that is owned, managed, and maintained by one of the agencies or one of the organizations. Somebody has, designed, funded, and built that trail. A lot of trails that we have out in the Truckee Meadows area are social trails. They're trails that just appear on the landscape, and agencies don't necessarily do anything to maintain those trails, although many of the social trails that we have in the area are extremely popular and get a lot of use. And I think agencies do the best they can to maintain and take care of, but it's not one of their system trails that they have within their plans to, maintain and take care of. The vision for the program, as you can see, is a healthy Truckee Meadows community connected by trails. So connectivity is the main theme here that we want to pursue. There's a lot of trails out there that are great, people use them, but it's a lot of out and back and that sort of thing. And anybody who's been on trails knows that loops are the thing that we want, and to be able to go from one trail system to another is important. So connectivity is important, and of course we want to build sustainability into all the trails that we have in the Truckee Meadows region. The goals for the program, to create a regional trail network connected with adjacent public lands. So we've got a lot of trails from outside the Truckee Meadows area, which we have defined, you saw in that previous map, That's the Truckee Meadows service area that the commission should be familiar with. I've become a lot more familiar with. So there's a lot to do with connecting with these trails that are outside of our immediate area here. Those trails on federal lands with our federal partners, the Forest Service and the BLM. Second bullet, ensure high-quality user experiences on trails. We want to improve that user experience with good wayfinding signs and just, good sustainable trails for people to use. We want to promote Truckee Meadows' natural, cultural, and recreational resources, probably through interpretive signage, but there's a lot of beauty out there there's a lot of stories that can be told about what people are seeing in the natural environment. And so the main thing is to coordinate and support trail planning efforts with community partners and land managers. Where we're going to next with all of this is what we're working on right now. The major effort is to create what we're calling an action plan or an implementation strategy. The Trails Plan and Report that was created in 2021 sort of lacks that action side of things. It does a great job laying out the program and why we're doing what we're doing. But right now we're working on the actionable side of things. What are we going to do with boots on the ground? So that's going to be things like creating priority projects for both new trails and the maintenance of existing trails, detailed maps of priority trail projects that we can promote and push forward with in assistance with the land managers. Agency adoption of the Truckee Meadows Trails Plan. So new developments always include trails. That's going to be a big issue for us as these new housing developments come online. We want trails and connectivity to happen with every one of those developments so that we don't have, kind of a, broken up system of trails because a new development went in and didn't build into their plan to create the connectivity that was needed with that development. Trail construction and signage standards for the Truckee Meadows, create a framework for the evaluation of projects, and a working group charter that defines involvement with the various organizations. I failed to mention, so I'll back up for a second with the Truckee Meadows Trails Plan and Report. There were two action items that came out of that existing plan that we have, and that was the creation of a working group and also the creation of the position that I'm in, the program coordinator. So we do have both of those things operating right now. The working group represents 27 different entities. It's the city of Reno and Sparks in Washoe County, and it's all the trail organizations in the area, as well as the Forest Service, the BLM. It's our neighbors as well. It's Carson City Open Spaces at the table with us, for example. So we've got a great representation from the trails community in this working group. You see that at the bottom of the page there. That's the main group that is putting together this new effort of the implementation strategy. So that's a sample of what this draft, it's this plan, this implementation strategy, the next step. We're working on that right now. We've got draft pieces of that put together. There's lots of work to do, but this is a possibility for what that cover might look like, just for fun. But that box on the left, the intention that I have at this point, and we'll see how things play out once this draft gets before the working group. There could be, it is a draft. There could be many changes. But I think in general, we've got a really good plan in the 2021 Plan and Report. And nothing really needs to change with that document. But if we put that document next to the implementation strategy that's being created right now, together, the hope is that we'll have a Truckee Meadows Regional Trails Plan, a cross-jurisdictional document that is the guiding force for agencies and partners to move forward with trail construction. and just all the things that we've been talking about so far. So that's the basic idea there. That handout that I gave you is a little bit more as you have time. I see some of you looking at the brochure. That's the program brochure that was created. And then the white sheet is a draft framework of the plan itself. And you'll see that it's kind of generated by these various strategic actions that I've, in draft form, that's kind of a strategic action statement. And then the plan, in theory, would be built around all of these, various actions. So please take a look at that when you get a chance. And it's obviously very important that this plan kind of work in concert with and work to support and can be supported by, the various park master plans that we have out there and the various administrative documents that the agencies have. So, for example, the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan, I just pulled out one of the policies there, the Natural Resource Policy number 9 that you might be familiar with on parks and open space connectivity. There's that word again. It says, local government master plan shall encourage a collaborative approach to the creation of a network of parks, bikeways, greenbelts, recreational trails, and so forth, multi-purpose corridors, public facilities, and so forth. So there we have it. I think this Truckee Meadows Regional Trails Plan that we're working on will dovetail nicely with and work well with this regional plan, as well as, like I mentioned, the other plans that are housed with the agencies in the area. This is a slide that I can't resist putting in. I was part of the Natural Resource Day last fall at Rancho San Rafael, and I got a chance to, I had a booth set up there amongst others. It was a great day. I think maybe some of you were there, but this is one of the comments with the information that was put out by TMRPA, and to me it just sort of says it all. It's too bad that it's not number 1 on the list, but I think the person that gave this comment, at least they got it in there. It's what people want to see is more trails. So, last slide here, this is just sort of a listing of all the logos, the partners that we have on the working group. Probably, I wouldn't say the most or the more important partners, because everybody's important on the team and everybody has a voice, but these are some of the partners that we have on the working group. It's not everybody, but it's a good listing of those folks. That's about all I have. Thanks for the time again. And of course, if there's any questions.
I do have one question.
Sure.
In terms of on your working group, I didn't hear any reference to the tribal communities. Are they on your working group?
My omission. Yeah, they are.
Okay,
They are.
thank you.
We've got Michonne is her name. She's with the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. She's been on the working group for quite some time that I know of. So we coordinate everything, with all the partners on the working group, but we make sure that the tribe or the Reno Sparks Indian Colony in their representation of the 3 tribes, we make sure and we all feel it's very important for them to have a voice. They will have something of a mention, a prominent place in the plan itself, that we're going to, through the plan, make sure that that level of coordination continues with the tribe. It is that important.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith, the record, and thank you, Jay, for the presentation.
Thanks.
So, we've been working together with EDON and the working group and Mark Kimbrough to help push this trails project along for several years now. In fact, we just handed over the GIS data to Jay and team, so they have full ownership of that now, and that was a happy day. but we were able to hopefully not hold it up too long, trying to fix some stuff up. But we're very keen to make sure that we hope that we can support this effort. Clearly, there's already multi-jurisdictional and multi-departmental activity, and I think it's important to memorialize that in the regional plan with a policy. I mean, it's already happening, but let's be on the train together, especially given all the work we've done and the fact that we do want to support trails and connectivity. So we have 5 policy concepts that we came up with to sort of think about how we might get this into the regional plan. Once again, there's a space at the bottom for you to write in something if you think we've missed the boat. You're going to get 3 dot stickers, and you just need to put your dots in the box or next to the policy concept that you like the most. And if you love one, I guess you could put all 3 right next to that one. Yes, that's right. And we would encourage also all of the planning staff that's here today to participate as well in the discussion at each of the little locations we're going to have. And then also, last time we mentioned the NRCA, or Natural Resource Consideration Areas concept, as another policy idea we have for the update in 2024. And we're mentioning that again, but we didn't really have any information on what the heck that was. So now we've created a board that is sitting there at the back. You can reference as we're going to bring it down. Yeah, so it's there now, but it will be soon here, down here, thank you, Nate. And you can kind of take a look at that and get an idea for where we're at with the drafting of that policy. It's very proto still, and we don't even necessarily have all of the layers that are listed there in terms of what data we have gathered, but we're interested. We wanted to put that out there so you had some point of reference, and I think in the future we'll make that a topic that we can all delve in on together as well. So with that, I think once again we have Mark, Marilyn, and Peter on this side of the room, the rest of the commissioners on this side of the room, and why don't we go ahead and move the things down and go off the dais and start workshopping.
I'm just here for the stickers.
You're here for what?
The stickers.
Stickers, that's
Where's my
right.
stickers?
I want stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are stickers?
Please.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Did she graduate?
She graduated with a 3.8 GPA.
So true. We can get that.
I didn't tell her at the end, but man, that kid stressed me out.
Oh, Mom, but she made it.
She made it. Yeah.
Did you count your dots?
I can generally speak about what happened there.
For all the groups?
No.
Because last time you
That's
counted
true.
dots.
That's true. I didn't do that this time. Well, Jeremy Smith, for the record, I will count dots and report that back. But maybe if each group wanted to elect a spokesperson and talk about their thoughts, that would be great, and that would be a good time.
Not it. Yeah, that's right. I did it last time.
Yes, you did.
Don't put me on the spot.
Well, I can sort of,
Yeah, what is
I'll sum up what I heard, which was, yeah, right, that, well, first off, the NRCA concept, I think we need to give it some more thought in terms of, what we want to include in that, because we don't want the very positive connotation of something like trail connectivity and fostering trail connectivity to be overshadowed by what might be seen as sort of negative connotation of some of the avoidance things we might want to try to avoid with those consideration areas. So we'll be giving that some thought. I think there was a lot of agreement that it's a good opportunity to have this information available and to use it in the planning process and to develop that connection to the trails, the regional trails working group, so that it's not just a geospatial, okay, we're not within the buffer, forget about trails, but more of a conversation with the folks that are thinking about how to best connect trails around our region, and how it would connect also with other multimodal facilities like bike lanes and ped and also transit. So those were some of the things that came up. I think creating a tool that local planning jurisdiction can, or local planners or the local jurisdictions can utilize when it's not a regional case, because many of the cases are not, right? The majority of cases that come through don't actually come here to the Regional Planning Commission, but yet, I think just because the development, say, maybe it's 624 units, right? And it doesn't trigger the project of regional significance threshold, but still obviously would have an impact and could have a implication for the Trails Network, could have an implication for source water protection. So the degree that we can provide tools online that local planners can use to try to look at this information and sort of bring them in, even when it's not our case, I think is another important thing that I heard repeated today, so.
I think for our group too, so any of you, is that very similar. And then in terms of making sure that we didn't impose this on every developer, because the developers mostly are, this is something they really want to do, but we have to think about the, and so we pointed out in that one thing says may, so that language in the second one does allow for that, but just to make sure that we're engaging with our developers from a place of support rather than, just saying that because our greater goal for the Greater Truckee Meadows is to have a resilient community, and that our trails and stuff support that, but to tie in those other things.
Madam Chair. Let me get my green light here, Madam Chair. So what I think at this point now that we can do is to have 2 workshops, is maybe create a little webpage that sums up some of what we've learned at the last workshop, what we learned tonight, gets it out there, and we can utilize that with our Regional Plan Update Working Group, which is meeting next Thursday, and also during our community conversation, so that we can kind of memorialize this. And of course, if any commissioners have any additional comments or want to write in, email, you can read some of that material and say, oh, I thought of this idea. We're always, would love to have that feedback. Thank you. Okay, Nate.
Anything else on item E? Okay. Item 7, reports. A, members and directors reports.
I have a shorty.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. Quick report. We do have today, Shawnee's Broughton. Wow, is that a word? Broughton? Has brought.
You brought a new word in.
Yeah, boy, I'm a little punchy here. Version 10 plan inserts for the regional plan. So if you feel like you need an update to your plan, we have those that you can replace the pages. And also, if you just need a plan, we have a couple of full sets of a regional plan. So that's available. Coming in July, you can expect the Truckee Meadows annual report. So we should be bringing that to the RPC at that point. And probably also the project of regional significance adoption item should be coming in July as well. And then don't forget, and we've already published the notice of possible quorum. So next Thursday night at Bartley Ranch, the community conversation on natural resources. It's going to be incredibly well attended. So we'll see you all there. But no, that's out there, so we hope to see you there. And with that, thank you very much.
Anything from members? Okay. Our next meeting is the 27th in the commission chambers or online. Okay. Item B, legal counsel reports.
Jessica Penny for the record, nothing to report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Item 8, request for future agenda items. Seeing none. Number 9, public comment. We still have none. Okay. Written correspondence.
There is none.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. Oh, something.